over the start finish. Quite a long straight here, heading down to turn 1 and 2, the Jones and Brabham corner. 85 miles an hour, keep the car on the left-hand side, pick a braking point. Difficult to see this first corner, use a bit of curb, often there's very good exit. Up to 180 miles, top gear, again on the left-hand side of the track, ready for turn 3. On the brake pedal, 3.5 G under deceleration, and turn in just 50 miles an hour. Heading into the final part of the pits, it's like you're going into a tunnel. The pit wall on the left, a concrete wall on the right. First corner you can't even see, you're staring at the grandstand. Curve one, drop down 60 miles an hour, and immediately the right of the Senna S, just 85 now. The long three, Curve du Sol, 135 miles an hour through the middle, and accelerate down the back straight. Turn 4, decided 185 on the way in. The track tends to fall away from you. 80 miles an hour, not as fast as it seems. Turn 5 is absolutely full throttle, especially on slick racing time. 45 miles an hour, head towards Ferradura. over the start finish line, under the bridge. You're heading towards Tampierello at 80 miles an hour. Brake hard and come down to third gear, just 65 miles an hour through the Tampierello chicane. But the exit is all full throttle. This brings you to the Villeneuve chicane. 170 on the way in, brake hard, down to third gear, just 85 miles an hour. It's bumpy, mind the curb on the left. If you negotiate that, you're looking at Tosa. Tosa, 145 on the way in, brake very hard, 3.2G deceleration, take a wide line in, clip the apex, let the car run out and point it uphill, hard on the throttle. Over the blind crest at 170 miles an hour brings you into Tampierello. It's back, lots of grip, go for it, about 100 miles an hour in fourth gear. Cascading downhill towards Acqua Minerale, 165 miles an hour. The double apex corner, brush the brake pedal through the first part and brake hard again, turn the car into the hill, dig deep, press the throttle, you've got lots of grip. A short climbing straight towards Antialta, 165 miles an hour on the way in. You can't really see those curbs, be careful of them. Flick flack through, hard on the throttle, room on the exit, full power. Downhill once again to the 185 miles an hour, but remember, brake a little bit earlier than normal. Don't be too clumsy through here, be smooth, gentle, get on the power as you can. Second Rivage is immediately in front of you, just 75 miles an hour. Bring the car in early, over the curb on the left, full throttle on the exit. A flat out kink brings you to Varianti back last corner. Don't blow it now, 170 miles an hour. Brake very hard, 3.4G deceleration. Turn in, use the curbs, balance the throttle. Don't get on the power too early, you'll spin on the curb. You're into a new lap. The pit straight in Monaco is anything. Turning to the right, you're heading towards Saint-Devote at 170 miles an hour. Guide the car between the barriers. Brake very late if you can, but not too hard. And take 90 miles an hour through. Mind the barrier on the left-hand side. Uphill now through Beau Rivage towards Massenet. Over the blind crest into Massenet, about 160. Hotel de Paris on your left. Follow the barrier on the left-hand side. Mind it juts out a little bit. Slow the car for a second time through Casinos. Just 70 miles an hour on the apex. Car pops over the top of a hill. The back steps out under hard acceleration. You're catapulting towards Mirabeau. Mirabeau, hill braking, about 150 miles an hour. It's bumpy. You must take the pavement on the inside, 75 miles an hour. Good grip on the exit. One of the slowest corners in the world. You've barely got enough steering lock, just 40 miles an hour. And immediately there's Portier. Across the pavement at 75 miles an hour. Now watch the barrier on the right-hand side. It's easy to knock. You're heading into the tunnel. Through the tunnel, your eyes take a little bit of time to adjust to the new light level, but do not lift the throttle. It's quite a turn in there, 165 miles an hour and 180 miles an hour before you finish. Braking into the new chicane. It's bumpy. The back end of the car's all over the place. You think you're never going to stop. There's the barrier. Turn in, across the curbs, hard on the throttle, 55 at the slowest, but it accelerates like a rocket. Towards the back, you're looking at the barriers now. You're doing 160 miles an hour. Watch that barrier on the left. Come down 2 gears, just about 100 miles an hour through there. It's a great feeling if you get it right. Now the swimming pool section, about 130 miles an hour, stay in 4th gear, look for those curbs, there they are, left, right, go. Up to 110 miles an hour, you're looking at the restaurant of Rascas, brake gently, turning through the left-hander, downshift, don't go in too hard, you'll never turn right into the 40 mile an hour hairpin. The last corner, just 65 miles an hour, balance the car, will slide, the track falls away from you, Do not hit the barrier on the left. You're into a new lap. The long pit straight takes you up and down gently rolling hills and finally towards the Elf chicane. Loads of grip brake very late from 190 miles an hour in top gear down to probably third gear and take a bit of curb on the inside. You must be accurate through here. Again, clip the left and let the car run a little wide. Accelerate hard up the hill about 120 miles an hour through Renault. It's a never-ending right-hander. You turn a full 180 degrees, still all the time trying to accelerate. Be careful not to road. Finally, you're doing about 170 miles an hour as you head into Repsol, turn 4. Brake very, very hard. The slowest part is on the way in, 75, and immediately you can get on the throttle. It's a long, sticking right-hander through the exit. Quickly falling downhill up to 150 miles an hour. Brake hard for 5, Seat. It's a slow corner, be patient. Get on the throttle too early and you'll slide wide. A full throttle kink brings you into Burr. An uphill left-hander at 80 miles an hour. You need to be accurate but fully committed through here. Uphill towards the blind Campsa corner, 150 miles an hour as you enter, 120 as you go. Where is the corner? Be careful on the exit. 80 to the left-hander of Maggots and really commit to the right-hander, 165 miles an hour. You may have to flick down one gear and get ready for that left. There it is, 125 miles an hour, Beckett's left, followed by a slightly slower right-hander. An important corner, you need every mile an hour through here that's possible. You've got hanger straight ahead of you. A short straight brings you to La Caxa, 185 miles an hour on the entry. Brake very, very hard and stay inside now. All grippers on the inside, but you have incredible acceleration. Don't go too hard into Bank Sabadell. 130 on the way in, around 80 on the way third gear. Strange bumps through here. You really do have to be cautious with the throttle, but get on it as early as you can. Grip your teeth now. 2 very fast corners to end. The first one at 135 miles an hour and accelerating. Second one at 160 miles an hour. You can't see the exit. It's red because your head off of your shoulders. Fantastic corner. The pit straight has a gentle kink into the Senna hairpin. 180 miles an hour. Brake down and take a quick left before braking hard again. 60 miles an hour, then down to 40 for that hairpin. Let the car run wide, accelerate hard. On the exit, you can build up to 150 before turn 3. Turn 3 and 4, a nasty little right-left chicane, 75 miles an hour. But the road behind the wall on the right-hand side. Turn 5, not quite flat out this right-hand kink, unless the car's absolutely perfect. Chicane 6 and 7, Pont de la Concorde. Again, you can brake very late. Be careful on the in, take plenty of curb, and the track opens up on the way out, so you can pull on early. Up to 180 miles an hour once again under the bridge. Looking at another right-left chicane, very similar, tight on the way in, just 60 miles an hour, but opens up on the way out for full throttle. Another straight takes you up to 185 miles an hour before the hairpin. Brake very, very hard down to first gear, 40 miles an hour. Be patient, wait a little while. The tyres will spin if you accelerate too hard, and you're on your way. A long back straight takes you up to 190 miles an hour before a huge into the pit chicane. The pit lane straight ahead, but you take the right left, plenty of grip on the exit run up close to the wall, you're in the new lap. A very slow entry into this pit lane, which is very short before you're into Grand Curve, 165 miles an hour, you shouldn't have to lift the throttle. Slightly downhill through a left-right, you've got Esther Hill corner, a long, never-ending right-hander, the most important corner of the lap. 110 miles an hour through the middle, fourth gear, you can power on early and smoothly all the way through the exit. A longish back straight with a right kink before you're doing 180 miles an hour at the end, and a desperately late braking into Adelaide hairpin. 3.8G deceleration, just 35 miles an hour, second gear, probably first even. Power on from the middle of Adelaide hairpin, you're heading towards Nurburgring. Up to 175 miles an hour, but you've got to be smooth, you've got to be accurate. You're going to go through Nurburgring chicane at 110 miles an hour. A bit of room to move on the exit. A very slow entry into this pit lane, which is very short before you're into Grand Curve, 165 miles an hour, you shouldn't have to lift the throttle. Slightly downhill through a left-right, you've got Esther Hill corner, a long, never-ending right-hander, the most important corner of the lap. 110 miles an hour through the middle, fourth gear, you can power on early and smoothly all the way through the exit. A longish back straight with a right kink before you're doing 180 miles an hour at the end, and a desperately late braking into Adelaide hairpin. 3.8G deceleration, just 35 miles an hour, second gear, probably first even. Power on from the middle of Adelaide hairpin, you're heading towards Nurburgring. Up to 175 miles an hour, but you've got to be smooth, you've got to be accurate. You're going to go through Nurburgring chicane at 110 miles an hour. A bit of room to move on the exit. To 160 before you turn in early to the 180-degree corner. And just follow the inside line, take a little bit of curb and be patient. A right curve now, but should be easily flat out around 140 miles an hour. A short straight to Imola. This time the chicane falls away from you, 170 on the way in, 110 through the middle, and it always surprises you when you get there. Try to stay a little bit left on the exit of Imola and be ready for Chateau d'Eau. A tricky right-hander taking around 60 miles an hour. If you get on the power early at Chateau d'Eau, you simply scream downhill towards the chicane. 140 miles an hour, but you can't see that chicane. You can just catch a glimpse of the curbs, 60 on the way through, easy to get caught out there. A short stab on the throttle, 80 miles an hour, brake down hard into Lycée, just 40 miles an hour. Probably first gear, get on the power as soon as you can. You're over the start-finish line into a new lap. You enter the pit straight very fast at Silverstone over the start-finish line. You're heading towards Cops Corner at 180 miles an hour, but you can't see around that barrier. Flip down just one gear, 145 miles an hour through the apex, but be careful not to run out of road on the exit. 180 miles an hour through the left-hander of Maggots, and really commit to the right-hander, 165 miles an hour. You may have to flip down one gear and get ready for that left. There it is, 125 miles an hour, Beckett's left, followed by a slightly slower right-hander. An important corner, you need every mile an hour through here that's possible. You've got Hanger straight ahead of you. 190 miles an hour as you approach Stowe. Keep it on the left-hand side. It's a right-hander with a very late apex. So take a wide line through and then bring the car in. You're doing about 100 miles an hour. Over the little crest into Vale, 170 miles an hour. Brake late, but easy to lock your wheels and sail past the turning point, which is just 55 miles an hour. You're immediately into Club. Be careful in the beginning, but then the track opens up beautifully for full throttle maximum acceleration. Climbing uphill now towards Abbey, 175 miles an hour before braking desperately late, just 65 miles an hour through the left. The right opens up, you can be full throttle. Over the hill towards Bridge, what a glorious corner, there it is. Try not to lift the throttle, 150 miles an hour, but straight ahead of you is Priory. Priory, a deceptive corner, don't brake as much and go faster than you think. It's 100 miles an hour through there. And immediately you're into Brookland. 55 miles an hour, don't attack it too much, stay inside, get on the power smoothly. Stay in the middle of the track for Luffield. Through Luffield, follow the inside line, just 70 miles an hour. Don't get on the power too early, but as soon as you can, you're into Woodcut, which catapults you into that pit straight once again. The long pit straight takes you uphill towards the Castrol curve, around 180 miles an hour, braking down to second gear, around 45. Stay inside, use the curb, don't be too anxious. Another long straight taking you uphill towards the countryside now, and the Remus curve. Another slow corner at the end, second gear, just 40 miles an hour. A blind right-hander with a crest right on the apex. A shorter straight now takes you towards the Gosser curve at 180 miles an hour, braking downhill. Always be careful there. Down to second gear, just over 50 miles an hour. Turn in early, stay inside and accelerate hard. A long sweeping right-hander takes you into the Niki Lauda curve, 160 on the way in, just under 100 on the way through. Be smooth and precise. A similar corner now with the Power Horse curve. 140 on the way in, 110 through the middle with a nasty right on the exit. 135 through there. Once again, be smooth and committed. A short straight takes you to the Jochen Rindt curve. Arrive at 180. It's tricky, it's downhill, off camber, bumpy. You can easily run wide. If you survive that, you're into the final corner, the A1 curve. Got a nasty little turn in it, 145 on the way in, but just 95 through the middle. Again, get on the power early, and you'll be once again into the pit straight. Over the start-finish line, check your pit board. Take the information, but keep an eye on the Nord curve. First turn, 180 miles an hour as you enter in top gear. Flick down a couple and keep a tight line on the inside, 110 miles an hour through the exit. Bumpy there, but you can go full throttle and head out into the country. Top speed around 210 miles an hour, the Clark Chicane. Hard on the brakes, you can brake much later there than you imagine. 3.3G deceleration, just second gear, around 60 miles an hour, bumpy on the exit. Takes a while before you can go full power. after yet another long straight. Here you are at the Os curve, well over 200 miles an hour again. Brake, keep the car in a straight line if you can. Moves around on the bumps, just 55 miles an hour, probably second gear now. Over the curbs, the car will jump. Now you can go full throttle all the way through the Os curve. On the exit, be careful of the grass. Yet another long straight. Now you're looking at the Ayrton Senna curve, over 200 miles an hour again. Brake once again in a straight line, turning a little early now. There's good grip on the inside, but the curbs can make the car jump. Be patient now. Squeeze the throttle and get a good clean exit for good straight line speed. You're heading towards the stadium. Over 200 miles an hour again as you approach the stadium section, the Ajip curve. Brake the car down to 115 miles an hour, probably fourth gear. And you can power on early through the exit, jump across the curve, and a short straight to Sachs. Sachs hairpin, a lot of camber here, normally very good grip, don't go in too deep. Just 55 miles an hour, second gear, power on early, but smoothly. Through the chicane, 135 miles an hour, the track falls away from you. Into Sud curve, 90 miles an hour. Be patient, the back end of the car can slide. Very easy to run wide here. Last corner heading into the pit straight, around 85 miles an hour. Good camber, but never quite seems to have the grip you expect. You need a good slingshot. You're into a new lap. Over the start-finish line, this is a short pit straight, and you immediately notice the track is falling away towards turn one. Into turn one, braking is difficult, track still moving downhill, it's bumpy, it's slippery, stay to the inside if you can. 80 miles an hour through the middle of turn one, and the camber helps you a little bit. Accelerate in a short straight towards two. Heading into two, braking slightly downhill, 135 miles an hour on the way in, brake down to just 60 miles an hour. Have to be patient on the throttle, not much rear end grip here. Short straight into three, get brave now, around fourth gear, 110 miles an hour. Try not to lift the throttle too much, but mind the curb on the left hand side on the exit. Heading uphill towards turn four, 170 miles an hour, but it's a blind crest. Be smooth and committed on the way in, take the right line, and you'll have a good clean exit. Slingshot into five, 140 miles an hour, just brake gently down to 80. Around third gear. Takes forever before you can get on the throttle. It's a long, long corner. Be careful. This is a good part. Into the back straight up to 140. Look for that little chicane ahead. Brake late. 3G deceleration. And flick-flack the car through 55 miles an hour. Accelerate hard. Turn 8. Easy to overcommit through here because turn 9 follows very shortly. Through 9, 85 miles an hour. Slippery on the exit, easy to spin off, but you're okay. Head towards 10. With good tyres and setup, you should get turn 10 flat out. Turn 11, the fastest on the circuit, 150 miles an hour, brake down to 115, and be careful on the left-hand side of the track, but you must be fully committed through there as the track moves downhill again. 12, 150 miles an hour on the entry, track falls away from you. Just zigzag through the chicane, using the curb on the left on the exit, a great feeling. To turn 13, a good overtaking opportunity if you're the last of the late breakers. Easy to go past the braking point though and run wide. Turn 14, arrive at 120, brake down to 75. Again, you have to wait a long time before you can get on the power. As you do, hopefully you'll be pointing the right way and looking once again at the pit straight. Over the start-finish line now, a very short pit straight heading towards La Source, around 170 miles an hour before you brake down to just 40 miles an hour. The slowest corner easily, turn in early, follow the wall around. Now get on the power as soon as possible, letting the car run wide, using all the track available. Screaming downhill now at about 180 miles an hour. Get ready. Don't be too tense. Eau Rouge ahead of you. Are you going to lift the throttle? Try not to. Go through there flat out if the car is working well. Over the top. Still doing 170 through Radion. What a feeling. A long climbing straight brings you at just under 200 miles an hour into Les Combes. Lots of grip here, right, left and right through Malmedy, around 135 miles an hour average through the lot. Have fun. Downhill now towards Rivage. Difficult to brake here, easy to lock your wheels and run past the entry point, just 60 miles an hour. Exit of Rivage, be careful, don't get on the power too early. A good 90-degree left-hander ahead of you. Try to be smooth and keep as much speed as possible. Cascading downhill now to 160 miles an hour. Toulon, a double apex left-hander, long corner, can hurt your tyres and definitely hurt your neck. A short straight to Fagnes up to 170 miles an hour. Brake 3.5 G in here. Hard on that middle pedal. Turn in about 90 miles an hour through the apex. Right and left. Good grip. Use the curbs if you have to. Short straight, you're now heading back towards the old circuit and Stavelot. A little right-hander, first of all at about 80 miles an hour. Try and be smooth, try not to attack it too much, then Stavelot. What a great corner. About 160 there through the entry. And lots of grip. You must take good speed through there. You've got a long straight now towards the end of the lap. Did I say straight? Well, it is flat out, but you've got some left-hand kink. And Blanchiment at 190 miles an hour, you should not have to lift the throttle if you're working well today. What a great feeling as you head towards the bus stop. 195 miles an hour, the biggest stop of the lap now, down to just second gear. Around 45 miles an hour into the bus stop. A left, you tend to move out of the racetrack, and then you feel if you're moving back on it again, you should be flat out through the exit, over the curbs, and heading into a new lap. A long pit straight greets you as you head down towards the Rettifilio chicanes. 215 miles an hour in top gear. Brake hard down to just 55, around second gear. Now don't accelerate too hard, the back end of the car will slide. And take the curbs on the way out, 85 miles an hour. Good speed there, takes you well through the Curva Grande. Curva Grande, 190 miles an hour, but easily flat out in a Formula 1 car. 200 miles an hour again as you head down to the Variante della Roggia. Easy to see the corner, not much runoff ahead of you. Brake late, be brave and get on the power as soon as possible. Two great corners ahead, the two Lesmos. The first one arrive at 160 miles an hour, come down to third gear around 95. Good camper here, stay down, with more grip on the inside and slingshot towards Lesmo 2. 155 miles an hour before braking down again, third gear around 95. Try to be smooth through here, don't attack it too much on the way in, get on the power early for the exit. You've just been under the old circuit, you're doing well over 200 miles an hour and you're looking at the Variante Ascari. Brake late, carry a lot of speed through the first part, about 100 miles an hour if you can. Use the curb on the left on the way in. Now be smooth, don't use the curbs on the exit and just keep accelerating. If you can get it flat out all the way through there, maximum throttle, you'll take good speed towards Curva Parabolica. Parabolica ahead of you now, over 200 miles an hour again, top gear. tighter on the way in than it is on the exit. So you have to come down to about 100 on the first part of the turn-in, and then you're progressively accelerating all the way through to 175 miles an hour exit, and again that long pit straight ahead of you. A relatively short pit straight, dropping downhill towards the Castrol S, 185 on the entry, brake down hard to 80 miles an hour. Looks easy, but you really do have to take a clean line through here. Third gear, 105 miles an hour on the exit, plenty of grip there. A short straight, 170 miles an hour top speed. A fast left, 110 miles an hour before arriving at the Ford curve. Don't brake too late. Try to stay off the brake pedal a little bit and carry the speed through, around 65 miles an hour. Pouring downhill towards the Dunlop hairpin. Lots and lots of grip, brake hard, turn in early, keep the car on the inside, get on the throttle as hard as you can, as early as you can, and you're heading uphill. A fast left-right chicane, 155 miles an hour. Normally plenty of grip, but don't run wide, you'll be in trouble. Still building speed, 175 miles an hour before you brake into the RTL curve, just 95 miles an hour. Lots of grip. The camber of the circuit helps you here, and let the car run up high and wide, but bring it quickly over to the left-hand side for the bit curve, 105 miles an hour. Once again, don't brake too hard, balance the throttle, try to carry lots of speed. Heading downhill now through the ITT curve, easily flat out, full throttle in the Formula 1 car. And now uphill once again to the Vidal S. Much tightened, 180 miles an hour entry, brake down to just 60 miles an hour in second gear. Flick flat through the Vidal S, but get on the power early, there's plenty of room on the exit. Into Coca-Cola curve, 135 miles an hour before braking down to 70. Frustrating corner, you seem to have to wait a long time before you can get on the power, but then there's good grip on the exit. Don't be frightened of going over that curb on the left, heading into the pit straight for a new lap. A long pit straight past the pit buildings on this magnificent new circuit as you build up to 190 miles an hour before turn 1. Turn 1, a long right-hander, around 80 miles an hour, third gear, building speed, but quickly into turn 2. A smooth radius, brake down gently, 60 miles an hour at the slowest point, but it opens up on the exit and you're heading along to turn 3. A very long right-hander in turn 3, about 160 miles an hour, should be easily full throttle, plenty of runoff area on the outside. A short straight now towards turn 4, brake down very hard, around 70 miles an hour. It's a 90-degree right-hander. Good grip on the exit, hurtle towards 5. A short straight takes you towards turn 5. A long left-hander, be smooth, be precise and balance the throttle. You immediately blend into turn 6. This is a flowing circuit, around 120 miles an hour. Power on early for the exit. Another short straight takes you down to turn 7 and 8. Treat it as one corner. Apex early, run wide and apex a second time. Accelerate hard towards 9. A medium straight takes you up to 175 miles an hour before turn 9. The slowest corner on the circuit. Down to second gear, just 40 miles per hour. Turn 10 is a sweeping right-hander, pretty easy in a Formula 1 car. You're towards 11. around 70 miles an hour in third gear for turn 11. Again, the track is flowing. Power on early towards 12. Approaching 12 at about 160 miles an hour. It's a flowing left-hander. Flick down a couple of gears around 100 miles an hour. Turn 13 is a sweeping right-hander taken at about 120 miles an hour, but leading you straight into turn 14. Turn 14, a sharp right-hander, just second gear, around 60 miles an hour. A long straight follows. Important to take every extra mile an hour you can out of this corner. Up to 190 miles an hour again now, and you're in towards the last corner, turn 15. Brake very, very late. Apex somewhere in the middle. Get on the power, let the car run out wide, use all of the track available. You're into that long pit straight once again. Past the pit lane, over the start-finish line, track is very much heading downhill. You build speed quickly up to 190 into the first curve. Use the entry as a deceleration zone to about 140 before slowing a second time down to 95, probably third gear. Lots of banking here in first curve. You can get on the power early and get a slingshot out towards the S. The S curve is a frenzy. You just keep building up speed. Left, right, left. It's great, around 130 miles an hour through most of it, but be very accurate. Don't be frightened of the curves, but do not run wide. You'll be out of line for the next corner. Over the blind crest into the final part of the S. Feels a bit clumsy in here, 100 miles an hour in the bottom of the hill. The car seems to bottom out, be very heavy, and doesn't want to climb up through the Dunlop curve. That leads you to Degner, 175 on the way in, brake down to 115, blind crest, don't brake too hard, don't accelerate too hard on the exit. Degner 2, 135 on the way in, just 75 on the exit, a 90-degree right-hander, bumpy and use the curb on the left. Through the blind right into the hairpin, 160 miles an hour down to just 40. First or second gear, stay inside, get on the power early. A long sweeping right-hander brings you to spoon curve at 180 miles an hour. Brush the brake pedal, down to third, around 100, and let the car run out to the right and wide. Bring it in slightly early for the second part of spoon, 125 miles an hour. The speed will decay to around 90. Don't be too aggressive here with the throttle. You need to get on the power early and smoothly to head along the back straight. Heading into 130R, 195 miles an hour. Try not to lift the throttle too much. Keep to around 160 through the apex. It just looks like a cul-de-sac of walls and tyres. What a great feeling if you get it right. A short straight, 175 miles an hour. Heading into the Casio Triangle. Brake very, very late. There's a lot of grip, down to 40 miles an hour. Take a little bit of curb on each side and get on the power as early as possible, but the wheels may spin. A good run out of Casio takes you over the start-finish line for another lap of this great circuit.